It was a night like no other, the kind where the clock ticks louder than your heartbeat, and the shadows outside your window feel like they're whispering secrets you don't want to hear. 2 in the morning, and there she was, my little sister Emily, crumpled on the cold concrete steps of my front porch like a broken doll someone had tossed away. Her breaths came in ragged gasps, her face pale as moonlight, twisted in pain that no one should ever have to endure alone. I flung open the door, my heart slamming against my ribs, and dropped to my knees beside her. Emily, oh God, what happened?" Her hand reached for mine, weak and trembling, her eyes fluttering open just enough to lock onto mine with that desperate plea only a sibling can understand. She was soaked from the rain, her wheelchair tipped over a few feet away, abandoned like it meant nothing. That's when my phone buzzed in my pocket, a text from Mom. I pulled it out with shaking fingers, and the words hit me like a punch to the gut. "Don't save that cripple. She's better off gone." The world tilted. My own mother, the woman who raised us, who sang us lullabies and bandaged our scraped knees, telling me to let my sister die? In that frozen moment, as Emily's grip tightened on my hand, I felt a crack form in the foundation of everything I thought I knew about family. But I couldn't just stand there. No, I dialed 911, my voice breaking as I begged for help because love doesn't listen to hate. Not mine anyway. And as the sirens wailed in the distance, promising rescue, I wondered, what kind of monster had my family become? The ambulance lights painted my street in flashing blues and reds, turning the ordinary into something out of a nightmare. Paramedics swarmed Emily, stabilizing her, loading her onto a stretcher with gentle efficiency while I stood there, phone clutched like a lifeline, staring at that text from Mom. "What do you mean, don't save her?" I whispered to myself, but deep down a storm was brewing. Anger, confusion, a betrayal so sharp it cut through the panic. Emily had always been the fragile one in our family, born with a condition that left her legs useless, confining her to that wheelchair since she was 5. Mom called it a family curse, but she doted on our brother Jake, the golden boy. Athletic, charming, the one who could do no wrong. Me? I was the middle child, the fixer, always patching up the pieces Mom shattered with her sharp tongue and sharper expectations. But Emily was the one she resented, like her very existence was a reminder of some failure Mom couldn't forgive. As they wheeled Emily away, she squeezed my hand one last time. "Don't tell Mom," she murmured, her voice a threadbare whisper. She pushed her, out of the house into the night, straight into collapse. My blood ran cold. I followed the ambulance to the hospital, my mind racing back to the fractured memories of our childhood home, a place that looked perfect from the outside, with its white picket fence and blooming rose bushes. But inside, it was a battlefield of unspoken cruelties. Mom's favoritism wasn't subtle. Jake got the new bike, the front row seats to games, the "I'm proud of you" speeches at dinner. Emily got lectures about not being a burden, and I got the guilt trips for defending her. "You're too soft, Sarah," Mom would say, her eyes narrowing like daggers. The world doesn't coddle weaklings. But that night, as Emily lay in the ER hooked to monitors beeping like accusations, the truth started unraveling faster than a cheap sweater. The doctor pulled me aside, exhaustion etched on his face. "Your sister's blood sugar crashed hard. She's diabetic, right? But this looks like intentional neglect. No insulin in her system for hours. And bruises on her arms, fresh ones. Bruises. From Mom's help getting her into bed? Or something darker?" Emily woke up groggy, her eyes searching mine for safety. "Sarah, promise you won't send me back." I nodded, throat tight, and that's when she spilled it, the floodgates opening in hushed tones between morphine doses. For months, Mom had been forgetting Emily's meds, locking her in her room during family time with Jake, whispering that Emily was draining us dry with medical bills. But it was worse. Emily had overheard Mom on the phone with a lawyer talking about our dad's life insurance policy, the one he'd left equally to all 3 of us kids when he died in that car crash 5 years ago. "That cripple doesn't deserve a dime," Mom had hissed. "I'll make sure she signs it over, or else. Or else what? Starve her of care until she broke? Push her out into the rain to fend for herself?" Rage boiled up in me then, hot and unyielding, mixing with the grief of realizing our mother wasn't just flawed. She was a predator in a cardigan, scheming to steal from her own blood for Jake's future, for some twisted idea of legacy. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think straight as I paced the sterile halls, vowing silently that this ended now. No more silence. No more protecting the wrong people. By morning, Emily was stable, but I wasn't. I drove straight to Mom's house, the one I'd grown up in, now feeling like enemy territory. Jake was there, lounging in the kitchen like nothing had happened, scrolling his phone while Mom sipped coffee, her face a mask of feigned concern. "Sarah, honey, how's your sister?" Such a tragedy, collapsing like that. Her voice dripped with false sweetness, but I saw the flicker in her eyes, the calculation. I slammed my phone on the table, the text glowing like evidence in a trial. "What the hell is this, Mom? You told me to let her die." Jake looked up, startled, but Mom just laughed, a brittle sound that echoed off the walls. "Oh, that? Dramatic much?" I was angry. "She's been nothing but trouble, costing us everything. Jake needs that money for college, for a real life. Emily? She'll never amount to anything." Her words hung there, poisonous, stripping away the last illusions. Jake shifted uncomfortably, mumbling, "Mom, that's harsh." But he didn't defend Emily. He never did. Betrayal doubled, tripled. My brother, complicit in the shadows, benefiting from the crumbs Mom tossed his way. I grabbed Emily's medical records from my bag, copies I'd demanded from the hospital, and shoved them at her. Bruises. Missing insulin. "You tried to kill her for money." Mom's face hardened, the mask cracking. "Prove it. No one will believe you over me. I'm the grieving widow, the devoted mother. You're just the bitter daughter who ran away to your little apartment." She was right, in a way. The town knew her as the saint who held our family together after Dad's death. But I wasn't leaving empty-handed. As I stormed out, Jake trailing me to the porch, he grabbed my arm. "Sarah, wait." I didn't know it was this bad. Mom said Emily was exaggerating. Lies. I'd seen the text on his phone once, casual shares of Mom's rants. "Help me fix this," he pleaded, eyes wide with sudden guilt. But guilt wasn't enough. Not anymore. That afternoon, with Emily discharged into my care, I started my revenge. Not with screams or fists, but with the quiet fury of truth. I hired a private investigator on a whim, dipping into my savings, the one friend from college who owed me a favor. "Dig into Mom's finances," I told him. And Jake's. Days blurred into a montage of sleepless nights. Emily recovering on my couch with blankets and hot tea. Her stories painting a fuller picture of the hell she'd endured alone. Twists came fast. The investigator called with a bombshell. Mom had been siphoning from Dad's policy for years, falsifying documents to claim Emily's share as care expenses. Jake knew, had even signed off on a loan against it for his car. My own brother, trading my sister's future for leather seats. Heartbreak twisted like a knife, but it fueled me. I gathered evidence, bank statements, forged signatures, witness statements from Emily's old nurses who'd suspected neglect. Suspense built as I planned the confrontation, timing it for family dinner, the one tradition Mom clung to like a trophy. The night arrived, air thick with unspoken dread. Emily wheeled herself to the table, chin high despite the tremor in her hands. Jake fidgeted, avoiding her eyes. Mom served roast chicken with a smile that didn't reach her soul. "Family night," she cooed. "Just like old times." I waited until dessert, then laid it all out. Files spread across the table like a deck of judgment cards. "This ends tonight," Mom's fork clattered. "What is this nonsense?" But the papers spoke louder. Proof of embezzlement, attempted fraud, even a doctor's report linking the bruises to elderly caregiver force. She lunged for them, but I was faster, voice steady as steel. "You don't get to play victim anymore." I called the police on my way here. They're waiting outside. Sirens weren't needed this time. 2 officers stepped in quietly, badges glinting under the chandelier. Jake bolted up, face ashen. "Sarah, you can't." But I could, and I did. As they cuffed Mom, her denials turning to sobs. "I did it for us." "For Jake!" I turned to him, the final betrayal stinging fresh. "And you? You let it happen." He crumpled, confessing in a rush, the weight of complicity crushing him. Emily watched it all, tears streaming. But in her eyes, I saw relief blooming like dawn after endless night. Revenge wasn't sweet. It was necessary, a scalpel cutting out the rot to save what remained. The courtroom felt like the grand finale of a tragedy we'd all starred in unwillingly, the air heavy with the scent of polished wood and unresolved pain. Months had passed since that dinner from hell, but the echoes lingered, Mom's trial for fraud and endangerment dragging us through depositions and cross-examinations that peeled back layers of our family's facade. Emily sat beside me in the gallery, her hand in mine, stronger now, her wheelchair a symbol not of weakness, but of survival. Jake slouched on the other side, hollow-eyed from his own plea deal. Community service and restitution, a slap on the wrist that left me simmering. But justice in pieces was better than none. Mom stood at the defense table, once vibrant hair now streaked gray, her eyes darting like a cornered animal's. The prosecutor laid it out methodically, the forged documents, the withheld meds, the push down the porch steps that could have been fatal. Witnesses took the stand, nurses with charts, the investigator with timelines, even Jake, his voice cracking as he admitted, "I looked the other way because it was easier. I thought it wouldn't go that far." But the climax hit when Emily rolled forward, her testimony a quiet thunder. "Mom, you called me a burden, but you were the one carrying hate like a stone. I forgave you in my heart long before this, but I won't let you hurt anyone else." The courtroom hushed, Mom's face crumpling, not in remorse, but defeat, as the judge's gavel fell. 10 years, with eligibility for parole in 5, for elder abuse and financial crimes. As they led her away in orange, she locked eyes with me one last time, mouthing, "You destroyed us." "No, Mom, you did." In that moment, closure washed over me like rain after drought. Not euphoric, but cleansing. Emily and I walked out into sunlight, Jake trailing like a shadow seeking light, and for the first time, our family felt rebalanced, scarred but standing. We sold the old house, split Dad's real policy 3 ways, and Emily started art classes. Her paintings fierce bursts of color from a life reclaiming its palette. Jake got a job, therapy, a path to atonement that he'd have to walk alone. Me? I learned that revenge isn't about breaking others. It's about mending what's broken in you, standing tall when the world tries to knock you down. And as we drove away from that courthouse, windows down, wind whipping our hair, Emily laughed, a sound pure and unbroken, and I knew we'd won. Not by destroying, but by choosing love over legacy, truth over silence. So here's the lesson etched into my soul, one I'll carry like a badge. Family isn't blood. It's the choices we make in the dark, when no one's watching. Betrayal cuts deep, but forgiveness and fierce loyalty heal deeper still. Don't let hate win. Call for help, fight for justice, and remember, your worth isn't measured by what you can do, but by the heart that beats for those who can't stand alone. Because in the end, the real cripples are those chained by their own cruelty, while the strong? We rise together one step or wheel at a time.